Hi, everyone. Rachel here. I know you're expecting our normal podcast intro, and that's coming in a moment, but I wanted to share a quick trigger warning for today's episode. In this episode of Girls with Grafts, we have an important and heartfelt discussion about domestic violence, including personal experiences and the journey to healing. While this topic can be heavy, our conversation is filled with strength, resilience, and hope. Listener discretion is advised. If you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline by visiting thehotline.org, calling 1-800-799-7233, or text BEGIN to 88788. Now let's get into today's episode.
You're listening to Girls with Grafts, a burn community podcast created by Phoenix Society for Burn Survivors, a leading nonprofit dedicated to supporting the burn community. In this podcast, we'll talk with burn survivors, share resources to help with supporting and improving burn recovery, and discuss how to prevent burn injuries. Here are your hosts, burn survivors and Phoenix Society's marketing team, Amber Wilcox and Rachel Kudlak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Girls with Grafts. I am Rachel Kudlak. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and today I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Amber Wilcox.
Hi, welcome. I'm very excited for today's podcast. Looking forward to having a really good conversation today. And so before we get started, I do want to send a special shout out. Today's podcast is powered by the Donaldson Foundation, led by a board comprised of employee volunteers. The mission of the Donaldson Foundation is to positively impact our communities by supporting education. We're honored to have the Donaldson Foundation as a longstanding Phoenix Society partner. And so with that said, really excited to get into today's conversation. Thank you to the Donaldson Foundation. Rachel, if you don't mind in talking a little bit about today's guest, I'd love that.
Yes, so today we are inviting on Davina Licon. Davina is an acid attack survivor as well as a bodybuilder. Being a burn survivor, Davina aims to raise awareness of acid attacks and domestic violence by shedding light for survivors. She wants people to understand that acid attacks and domestic violence are more common than we think, and it can happen to anyone. Along with being a bodybuilder, she hopes to inspire and motivate others to become a better, healthier version of themselves. If she can do it with more than 30% burns, anyone can, and there's no excuse. So welcome on, Davina. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Davina, to get started, we always like to have our survivors themselves provide their version of the story. So if it's okay with you, we'd love to hear your version of what happened.
Oh, like the attack and everything? Okay.
Yeah.
So... Well, the night that I did get attacked, it was April 7th, 2023. And I was just walking out of the gym at night. It's just another normal day, leaving the gym, getting ready to go home and eat. And as I'm walking out of the gym, my car was parked right in the front. So as I was getting close to my car, I felt someone run up behind me. And naturally, I just went like that, to see who it was, because I like personal space. I don't like people coming up to me, hugging me like that, or just getting close to me in general. So I turned around, trying to see who it was, and then I was faced with a gun, this close to my face. I was staring down the barrel of the gun because that's how close it was to me, and then, that's what I first saw initially, and then I realized I didn't see who was holding it because he was wearing a mask, but I saw, this boy is holding the gun to me, I'm about to die. I really thought, in that second, it all happened so fast yet so slow, but when he pulled the trigger and the bullet left the barrel, I saw the flame, and I really just thought this is it. I died at this ripe age of 20, in time for my next life. But then as the gun went off, I realized, like, I closed my eyes, and I realized, like, I didn't feel anything. Like, I didn't feel it hit me. I didn't feel no pain or like anything. So I opened my eyes, and I guess he had missed, right? And I decided within like a split second, I was like, I need to run. So I tried to turn to run. And as I turned, that's when he instantly threw the acid on me. And since I was facing him and I turned this way, it pretty much got like all this side and then the rest of my body. If I had not turned within like that split second, it could have gotten in my eyes. I could have ended up blind. Could have went down my esophagus. Could have destroyed my face completely. So I'm very thankful for that. God was definitely with me. And then as he threw the acid on me, he sprints off, and like I didn't know what it was that he threw on me. It just felt like a warm liquid. And then within a couple seconds, it started to burn like really bad. And I was like, I need help. Like, this isn't normal. Something like my skin is going to be messed up. I don't know if I thought it was acid because I didn't know acid attacks were a thing. So I ran into the gym just knowing that I needed help and that I would not be able to go drive to the hospital myself in that state. So I ran into the gym telling one of the workers to call the cops, call the ambulance, like somebody threw something on me, please just call the cops. I was in a panic. I was kind of freaking out, like just telling them, call the cops. And they were all confused, like wondering what just happened. But I'm sure they heard the bullet guns right outside. And well, everyone from inside the gym came to the front to see what was happening because I was like panicking, like screaming. And they were trying to help me. Some guy was pouring water on me. And then finally some girl that was just like a member at the gym, she came and she got me and she was like, she wrapped me in a towel because my clothes was like disintegrating off my body. I was just wearing shorts and a sports bra. It was direct skin contact. There was nothing else to burn through first. And as I was standing there telling the girls to call the cops, my clothes and my skin started melting off. My clothes was disintegrating. Like, I ended up naked. I was like trying to cover myself. And I just remember the pure look of terror on all the people's faces that were there. Like, they were like, what is going on? Like, they've never seen that before. I've never seen that before. And the girl, she came, she wrapped me in a towel and she took me into the shower to like go rinse off. And immediately the first thing I did was put my face in the water because I was like, if I get burned, I want to save my face over anything. You know, I feel like anyone would think that. And as I got in the water, it started to make it feel like it was worse, like it was making the burn worse. So I got out of the water because I know there's certain types of acids where the water will make it worse, and there's some that it won't, like it helps it. And if you're being attacked with acid, there's no way to know what acid you're being attacked with. So I thought it was making it worse. So I got out of the water, and that's when the paramedics came and they put me on the stretcher and they wheeled me out of the gym, put me in the ambulance. And as soon as I got into the ambulance, they put like the oxygen mask and I just blacked out, completely blacked out. But it's weird because when I got to the hospital, my doctor later told me that I was still talking to him. I was still conscious and I was telling him like, call my sister, because I was living with my sister at the time. And I don't remember any of that. I just remember blacking out and then waking up a week later in the hospital, just hooked up to all the machines. And like, what is going on? Where am I? But yeah, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, no, you did know this person that attacked you?
I did. I didn't know who it was when it was in the moment. I kind of had a feeling because when I woke up in the hospital, I asked my mom, I was like, who did it? Like, was it Paul? And she was like, we don't know yet. Like, they're still investigating. And then she comes back a week later and she was like, yeah, you're right. It was him. So I had a feeling that it was him. And yeah, I did know him. We were like friends. We would hang out, it's just crazy. You never know who to trust and you never know who you're involving in your life because people can put up a facade.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a boyfriend of some sort or someone you knew well?
He was not my boyfriend. He wanted to be my boyfriend, but I didn't want nothing at the time. So we were just kind of like friends, like hanging out, seeing if a relationship could develop. That maybe because I had just met this boy. Like I had just moved to Hawaii, didn't know him, and he instantly wanted to start dating me. And I was like, that's a red flag right there.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we could get to know each other, see if like we are even compatible or if we even enjoy each other's company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we were. And then I started to realize like a lot of red flags. And I just overall didn't want that type of person in my life. And that's when I started pulling myself away. And I guess that's when he got mad and decided to attack me.
Mm. Well, thank you for sharing your story. I think that's an important lesson, right?
Definitely.
To just share with others of making sure that you know who you're speaking to. Yeah. And red flags, right? I think that's a big one too. But that's not something that could have been avoided, right? It wasn't your fault that it happened. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Of course.
Can you share a little bit about some of the challenges that you faced? So let's start there in recovery. Can you share a little bit more about your burns? I'm sorry, did you say that they were 30% burns?
It was a little more than 30%. I don't think they knew the exact number because since I was burned with acid and not fire, acid, it like drips down. Like it's like if people throw water on you and it's dripping down.
Yep.
So
my caramel burns.
Yeah. So if you so since it was like drips down my legs, he couldn't just do the skin graft on the drip. He had to do my whole leg.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like more than 30% burned, but the amount of skin grafts I have is probably a higher number because most of my skin is skin grafts now. So it definitely feels like way more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what was it like for you, Davina? You know, obviously there's the investigation that was ongoing. You're in the hospital and you're recovering. How was that, just recovery on you mentally and emotionally? Because obviously it's more than just getting injured in a fire and going to the hospital and working on your own physical recovery, but there's this emotional side that most survivors aren't hit with that emotional side until they go home, but you're hit with it initially right away. So kind of what was that like for you? And maybe do you have any tips for other survivors who, are struggling with that as well?
That is very true. I strongly believe that every acid attack survivor is a burn survivor, but not every burn survivor is an acid attack survivor. And I say that because acid attack survivors come with like multiple traumas. Like you're attacked, so you have that PTSD of like being attacked again, especially if you're attacked by someone you know. Like you never know who to trust. You have trust issues. You could be attacked at any time. Like I'm constantly looking over my shoulder. I'm constantly paranoid and careful about where I'm at and who's around me when I wasn't really like that before. And how you said, like when most survivors are struck with like the realization once they go home, that happened to me as well. I think it happened for sure when I woke up in the hospital, and then when reality actually set in when I went home, because that's when I was off all the heavy drugs. I had to deal with it.
Did you say you were in Hawaii, Davina? Sorry.
Yes, this happened.
And then, is that where you're located now, or
no?
You're not. You're in Texas now. Okay. Yes. And did you move after that incident, or?
Kind of. I stayed there for a while. Like, let's see, June, July, August. I stayed there for like 3 months after the attack, like after being out of the hospital and everything. The only reason I moved was because my family was moving and I couldn't like afford to be there alone in that condition.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. And are there, I definitely want to talk more about your bodybuilding in a little bit as well. But, you mentioned, obviously PTSD and that paranoia, which I can completely understand why you are, having those feelings. Mm-hmm. Are there, and really, you're not that far out from your burn injury. You're relatively new.
Yeah.
So what strategies have you been using to kind of help you cope with some of these things? Or, are you going to support group, or what is it, bodybuilding that's helping you find an outlet, or what are some things that are helping you with these?
I definitely think bodybuilding is a big part of it. Before I got burned, I was a bodybuilder. Like, I've always been in the gym. I've always been a very active person. I did cross country and track in high school. I did wrestling. For me, working out, any kind of like movement or working out is like an outlet for me. It's like you get to be in the moment and focus on the hard work that your body's doing. And it's also a reminder, like every time I get up and go to the gym, it's a reminder that he didn't win and he didn't take what he wanted from me, and that I'm still going to do what I want to do with my life. Like, I'm strong. It makes me realize that I'm strong in that aspect, mentally, physically, but I'm also strong. Like my muscles are strong. I'm getting stronger. I never thought I would have been able to get back to where I was, because I lost all my weight. I lost all my muscle, all my strength, everything. So I never would have thought I'd be back to where I am now, and I'm just getting better and better and better. And it's like anything is truly possible. You just have to want it bad enough. I do go to therapy. I recently started going on antidepressants because it was getting really bad for a while, like my depression. That was like, let's just do antidepressants. Let's try it, see where it goes. And so far it's been good. I feel like this past month I've been good mentally. And I have not tried like peer support groups, but I really do want to try. I also just like don't really have time for it. I have work and a lot of other stuff going on, or even the Phoenix Society, the ones on Zoom, I've been wanting to join one of them. And I think just having a good support system around you is very important. Like when I was in the hospital, my nurses and all the doctors, they told me, like, we know you're going to be all right because you have a big family. You got that support system. You are a bodybuilder. Like, you have that determination to get back. Like, you're not going to give up. They were worried about me a couple of times. I was very depressed, but they were right. Having like a good family, people that support you, like no matter what you choose to do, that's very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Davina, if you don't mind me asking, I know a lot of the pieces of domestic violence, right, can also involve, right, whether or not you want to maybe press charges or legally, right, discuss things with or kind of protect yourself from that person. Have you faced that person with legal? Have you had to face him again after the incident? Would you mind sharing that?
So I haven't like seen him. He got arrested 2 weeks like after the accident when I was in the hospital, and he's been in jail since. So we haven't gone to court. They keep postponing the date. It's been like 2 years now that they keep postponing it. But since it was a crime, like the state is going after him. So, and I also talked to like the lawyer that was assigned to it, because it's through the state, like prosecuting him. And we asked them, like, can we press charges? What can we do? Can we sue the gym? Like, what is there that we can do? And basically they said like that we couldn't really do nothing. We could maybe press charges, but that would have to wait till after court, till after he's been given a sentencing. But they also said like there's not much you would get out of pressing charges because he doesn't own anything, you know? But I don't know, maybe I'd go after his family, because I think his mom, she's pretty much like an accomplice.
Now, were you, can you, just so we can circle back on the incident, you were going into the gym at the time, correct?
I was leaving the gym.
You were leaving the gym and he knew you would be there. Is that accurate?
I think he was stalking me for sure.
And that's probably a difficult thing for you to overcome as well, in terms of like feeling like you were right, your protection was violated.
Yeah, definitely. And when I go to the gym now, I'm very like, I just check the parking lot. I'm very like just aware. And if I see, like, I try to change my schedule up, because I know it's easy to to recognize someone's schedule. Just watch them for a couple of days and you know what they're doing all day, every day. And that's scary.
Right.
So I try to change it up a lot just to be
Yeah,
safe.
I would imagine that.
Yeah. And Davina, I just want to reiterate too, we just so appreciate you being so vulnerable and sharing your story with us. I know it's not easy. I know it can be difficult, and I'm sure every day changes a little bit too of how much you want to share and what you're comfortable sharing. And,
Definitely.
I'm happy that you're on this podcast sharing your story with us. This isn't a topic we've dived into on the show yet. And I know there are a lot of domestic violence survivors in our community who aren't ready to share, aren't comfortable sharing, or even scared to share. So I just want to, I really appreciate you sharing with us today and sharing with our listeners. I know.
This means so much.
Of course. And honestly, it's thank you to you guys, because like it's helping me put the word out there. And I really do think the whole world needs to hear like this story and just be aware,
Definitely.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how someone can support domestic violence, right? Like, so I think it's important that we talk about this story, but also like there are things that you need, right? Like to feel safe. And so how do you, maybe someone's dealing with, or has a family member that deals with this. How can they better support you?
That's a hard one, because just be there for them, be willing to listen to them, because I know a lot of people who are in abusive relationships will talk to their friends about it, and their friends will be like, then just leave. Like, why do you keep coming to us telling us he's beating you up and you just don't leave? I think you have to not tell them that, because then that makes them feel worse and they don't want to tell you nothing about what's going on anymore. So be very open and accepting, and like realize that you can't make them leave. They have to want to leave themselves. Just being there for them, and trying to convince them to leave that toxic relationship, because eventually they can end up dead, and you don't want that, so
one thing too that I've, I don't know if either of you've ever heard of the nonprofit called One Love. So I played lacrosse, and this was founded for Yardley Love, who had passed away because of domestic violence. And she was a lacrosse player. So we did a bunch of trainings, kind of like how to see those red flags. And, when you talk about leaving too, it's also really important. I want to note that, survivors of DV often go back to their attackers numerous times. It's not they leave and then, if maybe it can happen over and over again. So I just want, it's really important to support, your friends and your family and anyone, who's being open and honest and maybe opening up to you, that, it's an ongoing journey. It's not as easy as one and done.
It really is a vicious cycle. And I see it with people in my life. Like, they tell me their problems, and I'm like it's crazy how these narcissists can mentally trap you and like keep you in that cycle of abuse. And like, it's so hard to get out of, but all you can do is be there for that person.
Definitely. And we'll make sure to, for our listeners, that we have we'll link a bunch of resources down below in our show notes as well. Hotlines, tips. I'll link that One Love training as well. So we'll make sure we have those available as well.
I think like going over red flags is a big one, because usually when I do like presentations at schools and stuff, I go over red flags, and a lot of the kids are like, wait a minute, like I've noticed that. So I think that's a big thing for sure.
Definitely. Well, I do want to talk a little bit too about your bodybuilding. I know you mentioned that, you were bodybuilding before your accident happened, and you're still doing that today. And, physically and physical health is always such, a topic that burn survivors have. So I just want to, hear a little bit more about your bodybuilding, how you got back into it after your injury as well.
Okay. So I had started working out like in high school. So like from now I've been working out maybe like 6-7 years. Started working out in high school. I was just very like in the gym. I wasn't really into bodybuilding then. I was just like working out just because I was tired of being skinny. I hate feeling weak and like I can't defend myself. That's why I started working out, to have muscles to like be able to hold my ground, at least for a little bit. But it wasn't until I moved to Hawaii when I actually started training for bodybuilding and training for a competition. And when I got attacked, I was just 2 weeks away from like stepping on the stage. And there was like months of prep that went into that. So that was devastating, to like all that hard work gone, and not even because it was my fault. Like someone else took that from me. That was very hard to deal with. And then I started getting back into the gym. I would say maybe like 4 or 5 months after I got out of the hospital. It was when I moved back to Texas because I did not feel safe going to any gym out there. I didn't feel safe being out in general. I would stay home most of the time. And so when I moved back to Texas, since I'm born and raised and I know this area, I know how this place works, I felt a lot safer. So I started going to the gym again slowly. I was super weak. When I started going back, I was so unmotivated. I was like, I hate this. The gym doesn't feel the same no more. Like, I don't think I want to do this no more. I would cry at the gym because I would get so frustrated. But I just kept going. I was like, why? Like, I'm not doing nothing else. I'm not working right now. I'm bored all day. Like, what am I going to do? And it would kind of distract me for a couple hours because I would be focusing on my workout and not thinking about what happened and like replaying the scenarios in my head. So I just kept going, and like every day I'll be like, I don't want to go. But then like I would just force myself. And eventually I started healing more. I started growing muscle back, and now I'm where I'm at right now. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing the progress. I'm seeing that I'm able to get back to where I was, and that like it's doable, and I'm going to do it. So.
I love that. How many protein shakes have you had since your recovery? We just had Dr. Victoria Mills on a few weeks ago, and we were talking about protein shakes in that episode. So I'm sure you've had your fair share of those.
I've had a lot. In the hospital, when they tried to get me to like start eating again, because imagine being in prep, having to eat just chicken and rice for 4 months, and then going to the hospital, not being able to eat anything. I'm going to be fed through the nose tube. That's why I lost so much weight. And I was just like in my room, I had a TV, and they would always put TV on for me, but there'd be commercials of like food. And I would get so mad because I couldn't eat anything. And I'd be like, oh my God, like just turn it off. But in the beginning, when they tried to get me to start eating again, I had no appetite, and they were worried because I would skip like all my meals. I just wasn't hungry at all. And they tried to, because they knew that I like worked out and I was in a bodybuilding, so they tried to get me like protein shakes to drink, and they were so gross. I was like, I'm not drinking these, sorry.
Protein shakes aren't the most delicious items on the menu, right?
They're good when you make them yourself, but if they're like prepackaged, no.
Well, do you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask too, like, I am not a bodybuilder by any means, but yeah, I do enjoy going to the gym, and I've talked about it on the show before. And, I love the fact that you were just determined to go do it. And like I said, physical activity can be a big struggle for survivors. One, they may not even know what they should be doing or what they can be doing. Yeah. But I guess, do you have any tips for survivors who, maybe are wanting to get into bodybuilding, but want to live a healthier lifestyle? What tips do you have for them?
Of course. I agree with you that it is hard to like be active as a burn survivor, because when I was first initially like out of the hospital, like it's hard to move. Your skin is so tight. You're in pain. You get stuck in any position you stay in for too long. Like I couldn't use my arm. I couldn't put my arm like up like this. Like it was like stuck like right here. So the fact that I'm able to like do shoulder presses and like work out my shoulders and my back, like it's a miracle. It really is. But for burn survivors out there, like to getting into the gym, no one's going to judge you. No one's looking at you. No one's paying attention to you. Just do what you know. Stick to the basics, because really the basics is all you need. Stretching is important. I stretch every time before I work out, and I'm sure every burn survivor has dealt with this. Like when you're in the hospital, they instill in your mind that you need to be stretching like 3 times a day. So I started stretching a lot, and I kept that in my routine. When I go to the gym, I stretch really good before I work out, and that helps me in my lifts because my skin's not tight. It's like loosened up. If I don't stretch for a while and then I stretch again, I notice a difference. Like my skin feels like it's like shriveling up. And so, yeah, I would say stretching is really important. Even like yoga, I go to yoga sometimes. You can even just stretch in your room, just do something. Go for walks, like just be active. And that really helps in your blood circulation, which also helps in your scars healing and becoming less pigmented and everything like that. And for me, one of the reasons why I wanted to get back into the gym right away was because I didn't want to end up like stuck. Like, you know how they tell you that your scars, if you're not moving them, you can end up like stuck, like shriveled. That was my worst fear. I did not want to end up like immobile at all, because I'm a very independent person. I love doing everything for myself. I don't like asking for help. So that was my biggest fear. So I started stretching, I started moving. I was like, I can't get stuck like this. Like, no.
It's really funny you say that. So I missed our last podcast because I was injured and still am injured. And I have gotten back into running quite a bit. And so I just got a new treadmill, and Rachel knows I've been like running every day. And I finished my run, got off the treadmill, and I'm bad about stretching after my run. And my husband's been getting me on it because I'll run and then I'll get back to work. And I finished my run, got off, and it's actually the leg that was burned that has the skin graft on it. And right where I have like a big like burn across my joint that I pulled a hammy, and I have what's called goosefoot tendonitis in my right leg, which is the same leg that was burned. And I wonder if there's a correlation to it based on the fact that I don't.
It could be.
Yeah,
so
because that's where I was burned.
Yeah. I think you should stretch before you run.
Yes.
and then
and after.
Maybe after, but after is not as important. I think
Right.
before is the most important, because you got to loosen your skin up so that you can do the movement, right?
Yeah.
I read David Goggins' book, and he mentioned stretching too, and how important stretching is. Like everyone should be stretching. Like it needs to be part of everyone's routine. And a lot of like people, when they're older, they have a lot of problems with their body, and they go to get the doctor to see what it is, and the doctor can't find a reason for it, and it's mainly just because you're not stretching. Like when you're not stretching, your body like tightens, like your bones, your joints, everything. So stretching is good for everyone, especially when you're older.
Yeah. I'm a big yogi, and I just had been running a lot recently and not stretching as much. And so I believe it's part of that, but I also believe maybe it's the right leg, because that leg is also more likely to have issues with my skin because of the tight over it.
My right leg is also burned, but it's like burned on the back. So like where my knee is, it gets really tight. So that's why I stretch before I work out, because if I try and do legs without stretching and I go do like a leg press, like I feel that pull in my leg, and I hate it.
Yep, same. And I've noticed that my injury is 100% better when I've stretched and used like the foam roller and gotten better. But I haven't gotten back to running since I was injured last week. And so, but 100%, it is a good lesson that we all need to learn is stretching good before anything, because I also have been wanting to get back, right? Like I was running, I was super active before my injury. And then it's hard to just get back into working out and feeling better about yourself. Yeah. So
I remember when I first got out the hospital, I would do just little work, random workouts. Like I would just go to the living room and just start squatting or something. And it's crazy because I had to relearn how to squat. Like my form was horrible, horrible. And I have a video my sister took of me, and I I'm squatting there and like I just look so different from how I look today. I just look so unhealthy and like skinny and like I couldn't move. And I remember when I first started getting back into the gym, I was like, this shit is so hard. Like, this is why people don't go to the gym. This is why people don't work out. So I'm happy that I was able to see that side of it because I was active my whole life. So I always thought this stuff was easy, you know? But I'm glad I'm able to realize why it's hard for them to get into it. But the fact that I still did it means that they have no excuse either. Like, they can do it. It's all about how bad you want it.
Davina, I know that you've spent some time raising awareness, right, for domestic violence. Can you share with us a little bit more about kind of how you're continuing to do that in your community or maybe even just in, about that?
Yeah, of course. I do a lot of like podcasts like this. I do a lot of speaking engagements and I've been trying to do them more and more. And hopefully I can like start traveling and going places to talk to like wider audiences. But yeah, I'll do speaking engagements here, like at the schools or at like drug rehab facilities. I just recently did one at UTEP, which is like the college here, pretty big college. And, yeah, it went really well. I got a lot of good feedback and there was a lot of good, there's a big audience and it was a very emotional, like just beautiful day. So I think that is like my calling, like my passion. I'm very good at like speaking in front of wide audiences about something that's so vulnerable, which is weird because I don't talk about my emotions. I'm very like restricted, blocked off, like nothing bothers me. But this was a life-changing thing. And the fact that I'm like able to openly speak about it, like there's a reason. I think like God put me here to raise awareness, you know?
Yeah, we talk a lot about purpose on this episode. And I think I just had this conversation actually with Rachel and I talked about Orlando Health, my hospital. They're writing an article. And one of the things I said to the writer was like, I think after an injury like this, oftentimes we feel like, okay, this can't be for no reason, right? It had to have happened for something. And even if it didn't, I have to believe that it did. So whatever happens moving forward, I want to take what happened and channel it into something that I can provide purpose for myself. So whether that's raising awareness, right, about your burn injury, domestic violence, or helping someone else, right?
Exactly.
I do want to ask in terms of, right, like whether it's domestic violence or protecting ourselves as women, do you carry anything with you? Do you do certain things as you're leaving the gym? Like what can I do as a female or even just as someone, right, that wants to protect themselves against domestic violence? How can, or any kind of violence, how can I protect myself moving forward?
I would really consider carrying a weapon. I don't carry a weapon right now. I've really been wanting to go look at like knives just to have something for now because I do want to get a gun, but I haven't had the time. I need to go look at them and see like which one I feel more comfortable with. I have been like shooting. I know how to handle a gun, so that's good that I have like some background in it. But I personally would just feel a lot safer if I had a gun because if I had a gun that night, I would not be in these shoes that I am today. But yeah, carrying a weapon is always good. It's always like just in case, you know. But you also have to know how to use that weapon. And when I'm leaving the gym at night, I'm just very aware. I know a lot of girls will like leave the gym with their headphones and they're on their phone while they walk to their car. Like, don't do that. Be aware, be off your phone, be looking around. Because these men prey on women that are not paying attention. And that's kind of what happened to me. I think when I was walking out of the gym, I might have been like scrolling on my phone or something. And also like before I leave the gym, like I'll kind of like, I don't know if I'm crazy for this, but I'll kind of like watch people that are leaving before me just to see who was in the parking lot before I go out there. If someone that is sketchy that walks out before me, I'll wait a while until I leave. and I try to just like see what cars are parked around me. I try to park in the front of the building because I work at the gym, so I can. And like I just try to park where there's no cars around me. Yeah, just little things like that. Just be very aware. Another thing is like no shame to the girls that work out in sports bra and shorts, because I was that girl at one point, and I'm all for showing your body off. Like you work for it, show it off. But if you're leaving the gym and it's late, I would take sweats and a sweater just to put on before you walk out of the gym. Because if you're walking out like that, like it sucks that as women we have to be conscious of this, but men are animals and we have to be careful. And like for me, if I was wearing sweats and a sweater that night just before I walked out the gym, I could have saved myself some burns for sure. So I would say that, like, just like put a cover up or something. I don't know. Just play it safe. Better to be safe than sorry.
For sure.
I know that there's also mace out there that I have. I have one in my bag, right? I put one in my car to make sure that, like, if somebody were to attack you, is there something that you can grab, right? I know there's that key trick where folks can put their keys in between their fingers when they leave. So definitely worth looking into options. I definitely think you're right about like parking near lit areas, making sure that there is lit. I'll sometimes call my mom or call my husband on the way home. You know, if I'm in a place where I'm not comfortable, stay on the phone with me just to make sure I get to my car okay. There are definitely some things that you can do to make sure you keep
it's
safe.
A scary world, and it sucks that we have to like behave this way and do certain things to make sure we are safe, but it's just the world we live in today.
Yeah. And you know, obviously the majority of our listeners are connected to a burn injury somehow, whether a survivor themselves. And, you know I read it in your bio too, but these things can truly happen to anyone. And I think our, burn injuries, domestic violence attacks, this is a prime example of it really can happen to anyone. And it's better to be prepared and to do, little small things. And it's funny you bring up like leaving the gym on your phone, because that's exactly what I did this morning. I was looking on my phone, headphones still in, walking to my car. So I think everyone can, take a tip or two and
and it doesn't have to be in the dark either. I think a lot of people think like it can happen in broad daylight.
Yes.
Get off your phone, right? You just never know. And I do think my nanny and I talk about this all the time. Like we are in our phones 24/7. We laugh because we go to the library with my son, and the amount of parents even that just are on their phone, not paying attention to their children, who could literally just walk out the door.
Could just be snatched and kidnapped.
Yes. So like there is a time and a place to be on our phones, right? But it is really important that we are aware of what's happening around us, because we're so distracted by our phones these days. I think we're more likely to have things happen to us when we're not paying attention. And
these predators out there know this too, and they're watching for people that are not
paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with that, because I'm always out in public. I'm a big people watcher. And I noticed that too. People are just always on their phones, like not paying attention to what's going on around them. And it's like, what has society come to? But it is what it is.
Yeah, I think if we can just try to pay more attention to what's happening as we're in those vulnerable situations.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure. Well, I know we are coming up on our time here, but I did just want to ask one more question before we ask our closing two questions. So I would say like our last question.
The question before the question.
Yeah, the question before the question. But I know faith played a big role too in your recovery. So I don't know if you just want to shed a little light on that.
Yes, I do.
How that's impacted you.
Okay. Yes, I have a lot to say about that. So before my attack, I was not very like into God, or I didn't really believe in anything. I just kind of thought we were just here. I would question if God was real, because just how I have a lot of childhood trauma, and like growing up the way I did, I've always had the mindset of just seeing the bad in the world and like all the bad that happens. And I've always thought, like, if God is real, why is all this bad stuff happening? Why is he not protecting us? Like why are we all living horrible, messed up lives, right? That's always what I thought. But I was also very like spiritual. Like I'm a very spiritual person. I feel very connected to the earth and like the nature and all of that. But then when the accident happened and I got in the hospital, woke up, realized like what went down, I was mad at God. I was like, really, God? Like, why me? Like, why me out of everyone? I was just like, couldn't this have waited till after my competition at least? Or like what did I do to deserve this? And like, why am I being punished? That's how I was coming to, like, that was my initial thoughts. And then, obviously I talked to my family a lot about it. There's many like days and nights where I was crying to them about it. And I get emotional. And then there's this one there's one time I had an encounter with God. I like actually saw him when I was in the hospital. I was in surgery and I remember my body like taking its last breaths. And it's crazy because my doctor told my family like that, like in each surgery I went into, they're like, there's a high chance that she won't make it. And I remember in one of those surgeries, I like remember my body like taking its last breaths. Like I could feel my soul leaving my body, like I was about to die. And I did see like my soul leave my body, and like I was just like this aura, like this like light. And then I somehow got transported to like my sister's house, and I went walking up the stairs and I saw God, and he was like, it's not your time. And he put like his hand on my head, or like, I wasn't even a person. I was just like an orb, but he like touched me and he was like, it's not your time yet. And so he sent me back and I woke up. And like, ever since then, I was like, God's real. No one's telling me anything different, because the fact that he came and showed himself to me in such a vulnerable time when I like needed that, he's real. And he's been with me like every step of the way, and he's continuing to like bless me in life. And I realized that like that accident, or not even an accident because it was planned, that attack was not from God himself, it was from the devil. And God couldn't have prevented that, but he is able to help me overcome it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you again for sharing that with us. I mean, I know a lot of survivors, whether they have a strong faith beforehand or after, that's something they find in their recovery. It's certainly, sometimes a battle with God and how you're feeling, or any faith. So, I just appreciate you sharing that with us and our listeners. I know that's a difficult thing that comes up a lot of times.
Yeah.
All throughout the recovery journey too, even not just initially. Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, Davina, thank you so much for, opening up and sharing with us today. We do have 2 final questions. So Amber, I will let you go ahead first.
Yeah. So if you could share any piece of advice or encouragement to someone navigating life after a burn injury, can you share a little bit about what that would be?
I would say be kind to yourself. You've been through a lot. You've survived something that not many people can survive. Be kind to yourself and just realize that it's going to get better. I know it feels like it's not. Like, I really did think like my life was over. I was like, I don't want to be here no more. I want to die. Like, there's no point in being here. But life does get better, and it will get better. You have to want it, though. You have to do little things. Take it day by day, but do little things that help you grow. And eventually they all just start adding up, and you'll see how much progress you've made, and you'll be able to look back and be like, wow, I never would have thought I'd be here. So keep going. Don't give up. Don't isolate yourself. You need the good friends. You need your good family around you to help you get through this, because sorry, my alarm. Oh my God. It's not something that it's not something that's easy to get through, and not even easier like when you're doing it alone. You need someone, even if it's God, you need someone in your corner to be there to tell you like you're doing good. You got this. Be kind to yourself. don't hate on yourself. Don't be like, oh, I'm ugly, no one's gonna want me no more. Like, find the beauty in your scars because they tell a story that you survived something crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. No, it certainly takes a community.
Does. And
So
even like
yeah.
finding other burn survivors really helped me. The Phoenix Society, like contacting other burn survivors and like hearing their stories and their struggles and how they went through the exact same things. And like, you're not alone. Like, other people understand what you're going through.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, Davina, it is time for our final question. It is our Phoenix Partner question today, sponsored by the Donaldson Foundation. So their question is, what is one thing you hope listeners take away from your story today?
I hope you guys take away that that just to be safe, again, be aware of your surroundings. This can happen to anyone. Never would have thought it would happen to me in a million years, but look at where I'm at now. And just be careful who you keep around you and who your company is, because who you hang out with is who you become. So I hope you take away everything we've talked about, because all of it is.
Definitely. Well, Davina, thank you again so much for being vulnerable, sharing your story with us. I know this is going to help so many survivors. And,
I hope so.
even if it can just help one survivor feel comfortable talking about a relationship they're in, or one survivor finally opening up about their domestic violence.
Yeah.
I know this is going to help so many. So we so appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate your guys' time. And I know we had to like reschedule a lot, but I'm glad we made it happen.
So
awesome.
am I.
So nice. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Girls with Grafts. If you are enjoying this content, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we greatly appreciate it. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.